Hello, this is Reddithin, and welcome to NPL Miners Week 7 and Week 8. I believe that's it. No, it's Week 6 and Week 7. I apologize. Anyway, I'm doing two. I missed last week. I've just been really busy with college starting up and everything, but hopefully I'll be able to get back to normal at some point soon. Once all my current leagues die down, it'll be back to normal hopefully, and I still got some games to make up and everything, but we'll get through it eventually. Just kind of been busy and stuff. I was at Music Midtown in Atlanta last weekend, which that was pretty cool, but yeah, that kind of set me back a bit as well. But yeah, slowly trying to get back, so I'm doing some my NPL matches right now. So anyway, without further ado, I say that we get right into our first matchup, which was against Carnie and the Vancouver Stealth Rocks. So yeah, going over his team real quick. Well, I'm gonna go over my team real quick, because that's how we do things here on youtube.com/Reddithin. We have Weavile with Ice Shard, Knockoff, Low Kick, and Swords Dance. This is Weavile's debut. Yeah, Weavile back on one of my teams again. Who saw that one coming? But yeah, we did trade with Greg for it. So yeah, traded Weavile or Garchomp away for Weavile. So yeah, we got that icy cold boy now. So yeah, this thing pretty much just destroyed him. Ice Shard, Knockoff, and Low Kick was really all I needed. I just had, and then I put Swords Dance on there because once I get an SD up, something pretty much dies. Once the Toxapex is weakened again a bit, the Avalugg is just going to drop to a Low Kick. Toxapex, of course, is not going to appreciate a +2 Knockoff. Beedrill dies to an Ice Shard, +2. Landorus-I dies to an Ice Shard. Yeah, pretty much, this thing outspeeds and, kills literally his entire team. Once I get an SD up, so. Yeah, and I got just enough speed on there because that lets me outspeed Scarf Pangoro. So that's pretty nice, so. Yeah, this thing is just pretty much murders him late game if I'm able to do that. So yeah, it just punches holes through his team anyway. Next up is Landorus-I with Earthquake, Superpower, HP Ice, and U-Turn, Tynamos, and I put the Tynamos on there because I really wanted to be able to kind of bait the Avalugg a bit. It also kills the Snorlax. I decided to bring it in, but I knew he would bring the Avalugg. And Pulling just did not have great of a matchup, and he really needed removal because his team is quite weak to hazards, especially with that Beedrill. So I knew he would be forced to pretty much bring Avalugg because it has a somewhat decent matchup anyway, and it's one of the few things on his team that can reliably take on Weavile. And I say reliably, it really doesn't. He actually has a huge problem with Weavile, but Avalugg was one of the few things that dealt with it well. So yeah, Tynamos just makes it so that thing is much less of a threat. And then I got the HP Ice because it kills his own Lando, which of course Lando-T is a threat. I'm not going to go into that today. Hopefully not. Maybe I will, but I'm going to try not to. We know the story with that thing, so HP Ice is good for that. And I accidentally made this thing Jolly. I meant to make it Naive, but it should be Naive, but I'm dumb, so this is actually a slightly weaker HP Ice than what it should be. But yeah, pretty much I just wanted to make sure the Avalugg does not be able to get a spin-off, because then I just keep my rocks up and everything, and that's all nice and good. Next up is Spidef, Rotom-Wash with Hydro Pump, Voltage, Will-O-Wisp, and Pain Split. One thing I was really afraid of on Carnie's team was the Raikou, because nothing on my team switches into a Raikou at all. So I felt Rotom was kind of my best way to deal with that. Of course, I do have the Marowak, but that also just drops to a Shadow Ball. So yeah, it's really not the most optimal matchup for me against Raikou. So Rotom, Spidef Rotom can 1v1 it pretty well. I can switch in if it decides to be like a Calm Miner set or something. I can Volt Switch out and everything. But yeah, I'll be able to switch in, just get the Pain Split off and then switch out. I figured it wouldn't be a sub Calm Mind, just because if it was, then it would only be able to touch one of Lando or Marowak, and I figured that he would need the coverage for both. So it didn't seem likely to me at the time. So Yeah, and then just got the Will-O-Wisp because it weakens Lando, Beedrill, Snorlax. You know, he just a lot of his team, like nothing on his team really appreciates a burn too much. So yeah, and then next up is Dredigen with the Dragon Tail, Flamethrower, Stealth Rock, and Taunt. This thing was also meant to make sure my rocks stay up because, of course, the Rocky Helmet and the Rough Skin. Avalugg is just going to keep taking damage each time it tries to spin. And Avalanche, actually, because Avalanche does make contact. So if he spins and he dies, then my rocks stay up. Like if he dies to like the Rough Skin and the Rocky Helmet. So that's pretty cool. Flamethrower hits that thing a bit harder, so it can't just keep recovering back up. And then I got Taunt on there. Taunt is for the Snorlax to keep it from like to like force it to attack me and everything, instead of doing all those shenanigans. It also keeps the Toxapex from recovering up when I like try to like phase it out and everything, or setting up T-Spikes. So there's all that nice stuff. And then Dragon Tail and Stealth Rock was really like my main stuff I needed, because if he can't set up with his like threats, then we're pretty much good. And also this thing causes Beedrill to take a ton of damage, because Beedrill is kind of threatening to me too. Especially that Drill Run Klefki's not always the most reliable switch in. And then of course Lando is going to be taking a lot from U-turn, so I don't really... so I wanted to get that thing like weakened as much as possible, so then eventually Weavile can just come in and revenge it with an Ice Shard, and that'll be all nice. Next up is Gallade with Drain Punch, Set Headbutt, Ice Punch, and Swords Dance. This is a bit of an interesting set. It is Adamant, Spadef, and I decided not to run Drain Punch just because I don't want the Toxapex to be able to come in and haze. So once I get the SD up, then Toxapex just dies with the Send Headbutt, so that was really what was important. Then I just put actually like a lot in Spadef and HP, because it lets me take on the Raikou better, it lets me take on the Uxie, it lets me take on the Gothitelle. Pretty much, that was pretty much all the things I really needed to deal with it. So pretty much once the... and then I got enough speed to outspeed the Lando, I believe. So yeah, once the Beedrill is gone and like the Gothitelle and Uxie are weakened, then this thing pretty much just wrecks. So yeah, and finally we have the Klefki with Play Rough, Spikes, Reflect, and Toxic. This is pretty much like the Play Rough keeps him from, in case he is sub Calm Mind Raikou, then I can keep breaking the sub. It also kills the Pangoro and everything, and but really like this main reason I had this thing on here was for Reflect and Spikes. Because Spikes, of course, weakens everything that tries to come in, and if I'm able to keep his Avalugg from spinning, then he's just in a lot of trouble, because the Raikou, of course, can't keep pivoting around, the Beedrill can't keep pivoting around. It pretty much just like destroys his entire like potential strategy if I'm able to get those up. And then the Reflect is there just because it lets me switch into stuff like Beedrill and Lando better, and also helps Gallade a lot, because of course Gallade does not have the bulk up, so it helps it there. And then I just got Toxic because like anything that Play Rough can hit, well actually that's not true. There's a lot of things that Toxic is for the Gothitelle mainly. Gothitelle and the Avalugg and all that fun stuff. Yeah, I really had like nothing better to put there, so yeah, let's just go into the battle. So oh fuck, okay, no, this is I just showed you next week's, or I show you the other match in this video, so sneak preview there. But anyway, so leading off, I'm gonna go with the Lando as he goes into the Pangoro. Oh, before I get into that, let me just talk about the matchup. He brought more or less what I thought he was going to bring. The only thing I was surprised with is the Pangoro. I thought he was going to bring the Toxapex or the Gothitelle over that, but no, he brought Pangoro, so I'm okay with that. But anyway, I'm going to lead with my Lando, because if he does decide to lead with like the Uxie, then I can U-turn out. Of course, the Beedrill is not going to be able to touch this thing too well, and if he is the Raikou, then it'd probably be scared out just in the threat of me being a Scarf set. So I figured that Lando was just safe as the other way. Even if he leads with his own Lando, then I could just HP Ice it. So yeah, Lando was the best lead, and so he leads off the Pangoro. I'm actually going to switch out here because I know that there's a chance this thing could be Scarf, so I don't really want to risk that right away. As he goes for the knockoff, actually, and knocks off my leftovers, but that's all fine. This thing isn't staying in, I know that, so I'm just free to get off a layer of Spikes, I believe. No, I think I go for the Toxic here, actually. Yeah, I do go for the Toxic. If the Pangoro decides to stay in, he's Toxic. Like really nothing on his team wants to take a Toxic, so except for the Beedrill. But I figured the Beedrill wouldn't switch in because it does not want to switch into like any attacks. Like that would be dumb, or like potential T-Wave or something. No, Beedrill's not a Klefki switch in. I swear. So I do go for the Toxic. I do get the Toxic on the Raikou, which is really, really nice because in case this thing does happen to be like Sub-Calm Mind and like ruin my life, it can't really do that anymore. So that's cool. And this thing's just going to be taking residual damage every time it comes in. So really, really good there to start. So here, like I said, I don't really have many things I want to switch into this thing. So I actually just go for the Spikes. If he goes for the Electric move, then Klefki is going to take a lot of damage, but if he overpredicts and goes for like the HP Ice or something, then it's all good. So he actually does overpredict and goes for the HP Ice. So that's pretty cool. So Klefki is going to be able to get all 3 layers if I want to here. This goes for the Volt Switch. So I get 2 layers of Spikes and this Raikou's Toxic. So Klefki doing work already. He does bring in the Avalugg here, so I actually do get a Toxic off on this, I believe. Yes. So pretty much I can just keep setting up Spikes if I want, as he does go for the Rapid Spin. And but this time I do decide to just switch out. If he goes for the Earthquake, I want to keep Klefki at a bit more health just so I can keep switching into stuff like Beedrill and stuff, and set up like a Reflect eventually and all that jazz. And so yeah, he's just go for the Earthquake here. Rotom can eat that up just fine, and I do go for the Volt Switch because nothing is switching into this Rotom. If he does go into like the Lando, which he's not, I just can Hydro Pump it. So yeah, Volt Switch was just the play. As that Pangoro takes a ton of damage, and I go into the Dredagen, and I'm free to just set up my rocks as he goes for Parting Shot here. So yeah, I'm pretty much certain this thing is Scarf at this point. As it goes into the Uxie, I do get my rocks up, so rocks are up now, and you see for the Psychic, and I'm just free to go for Dragon Tail, but I miss because of course I do. So here I do want to keep this Dredagen at somewhat good amount of HP, so I do switch out into the Rotom, because this Spadef, it can take these Psychics easily, as it does get the Spadef drop, which is not cool, but you know, what you gonna do. So I switch out again here, and this time I go into the Klefki as he goes for a U-turn. I probably should have just gone for the Volt Switch, but I didn't want to take unnecessary damage on the Rotom, because at that point it was my only real Raikou switch in left. So yeah, so Raikou does come in here. Speaking of the Raikou, I'm going to set up another layer of Spikes, as he does overpredict again. This time it goes for the Hidden Power. At this point I'm just stacking off the Klefki, because I don't really need it at this point. I figured that like everything else in my team was more important, and I can pretty much reliably keep the Avalugg from Rapid Spinning at this point, because everything else on the team kills it. So he's going to go into the Pangoro here. I do go into Weavile because I know I outspeed and I can kill it with a Low Kick, which is what I go for. So Pangoro is going to drop. And here Carnie does do a bit of a misplay. He goes into his Avalugg because I calced and I figured that this thing was likely Spadef just because of what I had on my team. So I knew that Low Kick, either I killed with Low Kick and he doesn't get the spin, or I Low Kick and he lives and he does get the spin, but then he pretty much dies like next turn. So Low Kick was the play either way. Weavile was taking any hit from this thing that if he decided to go for one. So outside of like Gyro Ball, but I figured he wouldn't have that. So I do it for the Low Kick and it drops. So yeah, so these hazards are here to stay. So that's gigantic, because that means the Beedrill can't keep pivoting around, the Raikou can't be pivoting around, the Lando can't be, like all of his things left are like pretty much either pivots, except for potentially this Lando. So yeah, this Lando was kind of like the last threat in my way. So I am going to switch out here in case it's Yachi. Even then, Ice Shard doesn't kill anyway, so I really had no reason to keep in my Weavile. If he decides to set up, then I can just come back in with Weavile and revenge it once I get damage off with his Rotom. So I'm just looking for the Stone Edge. I do get crit, so 2 weeks in a row, Rotom just gets haxed, and yeah, so oof, we saw it happen last week against Fog. It happens again here. Rotom just getting crit and dying, so good job, Rotom. So he's going to go into his Uxie here, as I'm going to fire off the Ice Punch. I know if it was Scarf, then it does not going to do anything. If he isn't Scarf, I outspeed. So yeah, Ice Punch was a play either way. The Uxie's going to take some damage, as I do go for the Swords Dance. as he does reveal he has the foul play. It probably was a bit of a misplay on my part. I completely forgot about foul play. I don't really know how I did, but my play was probably just Dredagen. Yeah, so do go for the Ice Punch here, as Uxi's going to go down. I really did just want to get as much damage as I could on this Uxie as possible, though, because I wanted to guarantee that Weavile could come in and take care of it. But probably my play was just to go into Dredagen and I like sack it off and then like set up with Weavile. But you know, I'm not smart enough for that. So I'm going to go into my Lando here, and I'm going to click U-turn. It's just going for Protect here, so I'm not really sure like what the set is. It's Protect, U-turn, Foul Play, Psychic. I'm kind of confused on what this set actually like was for, but I just do go for into my Weavile as he goes for the U-turn. I knew that if he does go for the U-turn, then oh well, I do take damage, but I didn't really need this thing at a certain amount of health anyway, because I wasn't actually taking a hit from any of this stuff as it is. But if he goes for the U-turn, then he just dies to rock, so there's really no reason not to go into Weavile at that point. So let's go into the Lando here, and I still don't want to like deal with this thing, so I'm actually just going to go into my Dredagen as he goes for the Stone Edge, which isn't going to kill, so I'm just free to get off another Dragon Tail here as he goes into his Uxie, which is going to die to rocks, which is all good. And here he goes into the Beedrill, and I'm just going to click Dragon Tail again. If he lives, or if I live the Poison Jab, great, he dies. If I don't, then he dies anyway, so yeah, he does go for the Poison Jab here as it takes me down all the way to 1. He does get the roll. The roll actually, I believe, was a 50-50, or it was like slightly in his favor. I don't remember. It was very unfortunate for him though, and I'll talk about that in a minute as the Beedrill dies, because now he is forced to come in and take damage here as the Raikou is going to take me out with a hidden power. And now I'm going to go into my my Weavile, and I'm free to just knock off, and that's all good. No, I do go for the Ice Shard because Ice Shard's guaranteed to kill. So yeah, now he goes into his Lando, and I'm going to Ice Shard again. If he sets up, that's fine. I can just kill the Ice Shard. If not, then I just clean up with Lando as he goes for the Earthquake here. Weavile's going to go down, and now I'm going to go into my own Lando, click that HP Ice. Whew, and we win. An absolute nail-biter. Yeah, so going back to the Beedrill roll, had he killed me with the Dredagen, I would be forced to bring in the I would be forced to bring in like either the Lando or the Weavile and revenge it. Had he done that, had he gone into the Weavile, he could have brought in his Lando, take me out, and then I would have to and then this thing would die to an HP Ice. Had I gone into the Lando, he could have come in with Weavile, and then he could with the Raikou, kill with the HP Ice, and then win with Lando. Potentially, it kind of all went down to like rolls and like how I played around that at the end, but that was unfortunate. But definitely considering he did get the Stone Edge crit on Rotom, it was fair pretty much. So I mean it's whatever. That's Pokemon. We all get rolls, especially me. I get a lot of rolls. So yeah, we do remain undefeated in minors, a nice 1-0 against Carnie. So to make this video a bit faster and less boring, because my commentary has been utter garbage. Like I apologize for that. I'm a bit rusty, but it's gonna get better. So anyway, let's go into the next matchup against oh god, who was I playing? Against Uzi. That's right, against Uzi. So yeah, I'll see you then. Okay, so here's my team for Uzi. This week, yet again, we are bringing Expert Belt Weavile with Knockoff, Ice Shard, Metal Claw, and Low Kick. Overall, he like pretty much just drops this. Knockoff and Ice Shard, of course, dual stab. And then I got Metal Claw for the Mega Diancie, and then Low Kick was kind of the wild card here. Here I could have gone either Low Kick or Icicle Crash. I absolutely needed Metal Claw because I really wanted to kill the Diancie. It was actually more reliable than Iron Tail because this actually had a higher chance to OHKO that Diancie than Iron Tail had a hit. So Metal Claw was just overall the better move to have here, but and I really just didn't have many switch into Diancie to begin with. So yeah, I prioritized not giving that thing like a free kill against anything. So yeah, Spring of 15, Icicle Crash, and Low Kick. Icicle Crash, of course, killed the Dragonite through multi-scale. It did a lot more damage to the Rotom. It did a lot more damage to the Tornadus. But I did decide to go to Low Kick in the end, just because I really wanted to make sure that I wasn't giving the Terrakion setup, because Terrakion is a huge threat when left when left unchecked. And yeah, I know Gallade can at least like take one, but other than that, I really did not like trust my team to be able to take like a banded CC like at all. So yeah, I decided to put just Low Kick in there at the end. So yeah, we'll see how that worked out. But yeah, just enough speed to outspeed. Tornadus-I. I'm sorry, I can't speak. Yeah, I didn't really need that much speed as it is. So yeah, Weavile looking good. So next up is Scarf Landorus-I with Earthquake, Stone Edge, Stealth Rock, and U-Turn. Dual stab, or not dual stab, I mean Earthquake and Stone Edge hit like his entire team pretty much. And then I just got Stealth Rock and U-Turn. I didn't really want to put Stealth Rock on here. I'd rather have like Superpower for like a Piloswine or something, but I didn't have anything else on my team that knew Rocks, and Rocks are like so important for him because he has a Dragonite and like the Chandelure and Tornadus. Like his team's really weak to Rocks, so if I'm able to keep those up, then we're looking really good. And I really liked it on Lando in particular, just because the Diancie was not switching into this thing. Like there was no chance he was going to try to switch in, so I wouldn't be risking the Magic Bounce really. So it was probably the safest mon for me to put it on, and then just got U-Turn because momentum is really nice. Next up is the Klefki with Foul Play, Dazzling Gleam, Magnet Rice, and Thunder Wave. This was another thing to check Dragonite. Like, Dragonite was a huge threat to me if I let it set up, so I was really scared of that. That's why I put Scarf Lando on there. Also why this Klefki is the way it is. Magnet Rise, of course, so I can dodge those Earthquakes. Thunder Wave will slow it down, so I can, like, revenge it. Then we got Foul Play and Dazzling Gleam. This two combination actually hits, like, nearly his entire team, so... yeah, I really didn't need, like, anything else. Like, of course, the Magnet Rise. This thing would let me like 1v1 the Piloswine easily. It lets me 1v1 the Diancie. It does all that nice fun stuff, and then Thunder Wave just to mess around with things. Next up is Rotom-Wash with Hydro Pump, Full Switch, Toxic, and Pain Slip. Split F because it was really my only thing that really wanted to switch into Tornadus, and it switches into it pretty much every time, so that's nice. It also handles the Diancie better. Jirachi is. It also handles Jirachi pretty nicely because in case it's like special Jirachi, then I can switch into it. Whereas if it was like a physical Jirachi, then Iron Head would just not be doing that much anyway. So yeah, I really didn't need to run like Fizz Def. The only thing that really was good for was the Dragonite, the Terrakion, but this wasn't like my main check to those things anyway. And even then, I did have like the Toxic for the Dragonite and everything. So yeah, this thing also switched into Tentacruel like every time, so I could just like full switch and pivot around that. Next up is the Shaman with just enough speed to actually outspeed Max Eve Dragonite. Bit of an interesting set, Seed Flower, Earth Power, HPS, and Synthesis. I'm excited to go max HP at the cost of some special attack, just because I really wanted to be able to handle the Diancie better. And that was mainly it. It also could take Ice Shards and Piloswines and everything and be all good there. So yeah, Shaman just being a good Shaman as it is. He didn't really have much to deal with this thing at all, so yeah, Shaman's good in this matchup. And finally, we do have 4 attacks, Gallade with Close Combat, Zed Headbutt, Ice Punch, and Earthquake. This thing, if I was able to like get rid of any, like yeah, this thing just didn't like have switch-ins at all in general. He pretty much just got destroyed by this thing. So once I was able to kind of like wear down his team enough, then this thing pretty much just cleans up. So yeah, that was kind of my plan there. So anyway, let's go into the battle for Uzi, as he brought some interesting stuff. He didn't bring the Jirachi, which I was kind of surprised on. Yeah, no Jirachi and no Piloswine or Tornadus, which I also found kind of surprising. But yeah, everything else, everything on his team actually did have like a decent matchup to be, in my opinion. So it was kind of like a pick and choose for him. Like he did actually have a pretty nice matchup against me. Dragonite in general like was so good against me that he probably could have like brought anything and still like have a decent matchup because of it. So yeah, let's just go into what happens. So he leads off with the Terrakion, as I'm going to lead off with the Landorus. Since this thing is Scarf, it can I know it outspeeds literally his entire team outside of a Scarf Outside of Scarf, Terrakion, and Scarf. Yeah, no, outside of Scarf, Terrakion, outside of Scarf, Zoroark. Both of which I found kind of unlikely. Even if it was the Scarf Terrakion, though, then it's not going to be able to kill me. And he wouldn't stay in anyway because that would just be dumb. So I do go for the U-turn as he does stay in. For some reason, I don't really know why. I'm not going to question it. Because clearly, I guess he made the right play. Because he is going to go for his rocks here. So he gets rocks up. It was really unfortunate that he stayed in. But he stays in again here on the Klefki. So I'm just going to T-Wave that thing. And he does get paralyzed, which is okay. As I do get like hacks in my favor here. Which, you know, it happens. So he is forced to switch out here into his Rotom. And take some damage there. So here I'm just going to switch out because I don't want to take any unnecessary damage as I go into my Shaman, because I know this thing can take literally anything from this thing. That's actually one of the main reasons I did bring Shaman, just because I knew Rotom cuts, stabs were really, really scary against me. So this thing could deal with that anyway. So I do go for the HP Ice. So that does a decent amount of damage as he goes for the light screen here. I'm just going to click Seed Flare. Either he stays in and he takes some more damage. Because HBS wasn't really going to do much to the light screen anyway. Or he switches out and it just takes a ton from that Seed Flare. So I'm going to go over the Seed Flare here. We have the Spit F drop, and but he does Volt Switch out. So yeah, a bit unfortunate there that I wasn't able to get a bit more damage, but it didn't really matter too much. So he's going to the Tentacruel here. I do not want to take a Sludge Bomb, so I'm just actually going to go into the Rotom. I probably should have just clicked Synthesis to kind of scout what he was going to go for, but he does go for the Sludge Bomb. That's fine. I do have like a free Volt Switch every time I do come in, which is really nice with this thing, just because he didn't bring any electric immunities. So I do get initiative here as I go into my Gallade. I know that I can guarantee take this thing out with a CC as he goes into his Terrakion, just stacking it here. So Terrakion does go down. So yeah, threat averted here because I was kind of afraid of this thing, but yeah, it is no longer here. So he's gonna go into the Diancie here. I know this is a speed tie, but since he has like the Reflect and Light Screen up, then I know I have no chance of killing it anyway. So I am gonna go into my Klefki here and hope he doesn't predict that and go for the Earth Power. But he actually reveals he has the Nasty Plot. So Uzi really making a huge risk there going into the Diancie, but it paid off as he does really use the Zoroark. So I'm kind of in a lot of trouble here because nothing really can handle this thing well. So I really do want to keep my Klefki around just because I'm still really afraid of the Dragonite. And so Klefki is kind of really important. It also 1v1s the Diancie, and Rotom really wasn't necessary much at this point anyway. It really was only good for the Tentacruel, but I trusted Shaman and like everything else to like handle that anyway. So he does go for the Flamethrower here, which I resist, but unfortunately I will not be able to live a Dark Pulse or a Night Daze. So that goes down, but thankfully for me with that prediction, what it does do is that it gets rid of his screens. So that's nice. I'm going to go into my Lando here, and he knows I'm Scarf at this point, so he knows he outspeeds. So I'm actually just going to kind of make a bit of a risk and go for the U-turn. And the reason I do that is because this Lando, or I do consider this Lando to be really important, and I don't want to go for the Earthquake or like go into Gallade or anything because I knew this thing could be Sash just going by the way he played it. So I am just going to like scout around here and go for U-turn. I figure he won't stay in, but if he does, then I do want this Lando still alive. So I do go for the U-turn as he switches out into the Tentacruel. So I didn't really understand that play either. Like, because Earthquake was kind of like the play there, but I don't know, I guess he didn't know that I didn't have the superpower or anything. I don't know. Uzi making like a lot of really aggressive plays here. I'm not saying they're bad. I just like they did kind of like confuse me at the time, but yeah, he definitely did have like the upper hand here with all these plays. So so here I do make kind of a dumb play as actually it's not dumb, as I just go for the Zen Headbutt. I actually missed, but it doesn't really matter too much. So as I go for the Ice Punch there and take out the Rotom. I wasn't a misplay. I don't know why I said that was a misplay. That Tentacruel was dead. So let's go into Diancie here this time, and I do risk this thing being the Zoroark here, but I figured he wouldn't try that twice. And he doesn't, as he reveals that he is, that he really is the Diancie. So going to the Moonblast and gets a crit, which is really unfortunate. So I do just go for the Dazzling Gleam here. No, I do go for the Magnarize. But it doesn't really matter because I can't really touch this Tentacruel, like, anyway. I just go for the Flamethrower, revealing that is the Zoroark. I figured that it could... No, I knew this was Zoroark because the Tentacruel was weakened. So, yeah, I knew it was the Zoroark, but I knew there's really nothing I could do about it at that point. So, I do lose the Klefki again. And here I do go to the Gallade because I kind of took a risk here that this thing wasn't sashed. Because judging how he actually just switched out on the Lando here, I figured that he wasn't sashed and that's why he switched. So, as he goes for the Sucker Punch, actually, as I do take out the CC, but yeah, that was huge. Like, that set really caught me off guard. Not only like was the Zoroark catching me off guard with like the Diancie, but also the Sucker Punch, which was really huge because now this thing is in E-Speed range for the Dragonite. So yeah, as his Zoroark is just going to go down here. And here he does go into the Diancie, and he does get the Speed Tie, which is really unfortunate. I figured kind of I figured that kind of made up for like the paralysis on like the Terrakion, but definitely, but had I did win that Speed Tie there, I think this game would have been in the bag for me. So that's really, really unfortunate on my part. But yeah, now it becomes much more of a game here. So I was a Diancie at full after that Speed Tie here. As I go into the Shaman, and I know that Shaman is guaranteed to OHKO this thing as long as I hit the Seed Flare, but I do just go into the Tentacruel this time as I go for the Seed Flare, and that is easily a 2 KO. I figured this thing could be Scarf at this point, and he actually did say something in the chat that like maybe believe, like not intentionally or anything, I'm not like trying to say that, but that's just a lesson not to look at the chat, because in case someone says something that might seem to be a bit misleading, like intentionally or not, that could affect your plays. And that's what happened here, because I thought, because judging by what he said, I thought that this thing wouldn't be Scarfed. So I do decide to stay in here with the Shaman. It probably was my play anyway. Really, I think I should have just gone into Lando and get up my rocks at that point, but it happens. So yeah, he does actually reveal he is Scarf, and he's going to take me out with, or not take me out, but he's going to drop me to really, really low with a Sludge Bomb as I take it out with another Seed Flare. So yeah, that was really bad, because not only does it knock me into range of a Moonblast or a Diamond Storm from the Diancie, it also knocks me into E-Speed range. So yeah, that was also another turning point in this matchup, or in this battle for sure. I really should have just gone into Lando. It kind of was just a 50-50 there at that point, but I don't win 50-50s, so unless they're rolls. So I'm gonna go into my Lando here, and I have to. And this was and I pretty much was left to another 50-50 here, which I kind of spoiled what happens here. But had he stay in and try to like set up or something, I Stone Edge and then I clean up with Weavile. Has he switch out and I go for a U-turn, then I go into Weavile, kill this thing with Metal Claw, and then win from there. So like that was definitely another 50-50 here. And let's go into Diancie here, and I go for the Stone Edge. So yeah, had I gotten a crit there, that'd been really nice. But I don't. So yeah, really unfortunate that I do lose another 50-50 here. So I do hit both, but it doesn't matter because I don't get the crit, and he's just going to take me out the Moonblast. That was another roll as well, I believe, but it didn't matter because he could just clean up with E-Speed anyway. So yeah, but we own my Weavile here, and I am free to actually just go for the Ice Shard at this point. But like I said, it doesn't matter. I don't have the Icicle Crash, and we'll see in a minute. As he actually goes for the E-Speed. He is banded, Dragonite, actually. I go for the Ice Shard, and it takes it down to half, but unfortunately I do die at E-Speed. And here is where I was talking about how Low Kick over Ice Shard could have costed me, or over Icicle Crash could have cost me, and it did, because Icicle Crash would have taken out the Dragonite. So yeah, just like this like I didn't like this battle at all. Uzi played very well. He definitely made like some risky plays, but they were like good plays. They actually pulled through for him. I feel like I did play the way I needed to. Just a combination between the speed tile with Diancie and those two 50-50s at the end really kind of ruined the game for me. I could have definitely, this game could have gone either way. Uzi definitely just got, things happened for Uzi that just needed to happen. And sometimes that happens. I know definitely, like in my previous games, that happened in my favor, so I'm not complaining because that just happens. It's just part of Pokemon. I feel like my record deserves to be what it is now because of that, so I'm not mad. Congrats to Uzi. He definitely did play well. Dragonite destroyed me, and he definitely played well with that too, so you know, that's just what happens. But yeah, we'll be back at it next week against Danicki and the Rose Rodenborg, so hopefully the result is a bit different then. But yeah, we do go 1-1 in these 2 games that we split, so yeah, thank you so much for watching. This has been Reddithin, and I will see you in the next video that is on time, hopefully, and goodbye.